Alright, so I came over to this channel. It was in my feed, 5 reasons why astrophysicists care about imaging a black hole, by someone called Dr. Becky. So, Dr. Becky, let me just scrub through, shows a bunch of images, a bunch of screenshots, and it's all just cartoons, right? So, like this. Here. That's a screensaver. Take a look at another one. Anything happening there? It's nothing, right? There's nothing there. It's cartoons and stuff. Alright, so I showed up to talk some shit. This is what the greatest astronomer in the world invented. Link to how to tell time by the moon. It does put you to shame, but not just you. I've smashed your whole field, and I assure you, you've never measured even one thing. Professional idiot is what you are. It's just like, no responses. I responded under someone else's comment, though. And, alright, so listen to this. I love that professional astrophysicists use XKCD's visualization of the scale of M87. So, obviously, this is just some nerdy... So I'm like, I love how you can be a professional without inventing anything. I love how you people believe in cartoons and you believe the person showing them to you are somehow something more than idiots. Professional astrophysicists. Ha! Earth is flat, you half-wits. So he says, collect my Nobel Prize. I definitely would. I should be collecting that. Obviously, there's no refutation to How to Tell Time by the Moon. It's a flat Earth book, so it's been out for a year, so I should definitely be getting my Nobel Prize. He says, oh, right, that pesky proof thing. Oh, that's weird. So I'm just explaining to him, like, hey, the moon can easily be used to disprove your ridiculous claims. The moon reflects the light, allowing you to track the sun all hours of the night, and it's not even close. You believe the sun and moon are 90 degrees from what they are. Self-evident and obvious facts. And tonight's perfect to refute my claim. Good luck. Obviously. It's going to take more than luck. So, all right. I want to talk to you a little bit about like the mindset of a glober. Because if you come in and say something like the Earth is flat, then they are going to want to talk about Nobel Prizes. They are going to want to talk about definitions. You do know that being professional means you get paid for your work, which would be the case here. That's under the assumption that this is work, which it's not. It's just some cartoons and this idiot just making claims. It's a doctor, you know, highly educated, but still just an idiot, just a retard that doesn't have any evidence, doesn't have any, you know, just screenshots. What are they? Screensavers. So, no matter what you talk about, like the Earth being flat, watching the moon, just looking at the light on it, you know, things like that, what they want to talk about is define this, define that, define this. This person over here is breathing. Wants to share it with us. And I'm just telling her, actually, professional means accomplished. As the only accomplished astronomer in the room, or anywhere else for that matter. It's not even close, guys. My closest competition is a dead guy that was in a wheelchair for 40 years. It's ridiculous. I can assure you, your advice isn't needed, peasant. I like to call people peasants that believe the government, because that's what it is. So to the side guy. What's it like not being able to use your nonsense to predict anything? I would feel pathetic accepting something so wholly useless. Good luck breathing there, though, Ameritard. Just pointing out, like, sigh is what he says. You know, Could a person that makes a sentence out of one word, doesn't even bother to capitalize it, doesn't bother to expand, sigh what? Sigh who? Several people here. So is he sighing with me? Is he sighing against me? You know, that's the deal. When people can't communicate, they just can't communicate. The person that can't communicate is always dumber than the person that can communicate. So that's why I continue with this stuff. It's not like to convince any of these idiots. It's so that when somebody scrolls through this, they say, why is it that this one person that says the earth is flat can make actual sentences and, like, you know, communicate? Meanwhile, people that just believe what they're told, they are just breathing, right? So I love this one here because it's just like, it's great. You can't predict anything. Like, it's the whole sky. Can you predict things on the world? On the surface? Like, how long does it take you to get to the gas station? Okay, great. So now, can you use this heliocentric bullshit to predict anything? No, you can't. So she's just off talking about her definitions again. Globers love to just not talk about whatever you're talking about. That's how they ended up being Globers. That's why they're Globers still in 2019, is that they just can't even stay on topic. Syphil, no. You may actually want to consult a dictionary. In the ones I looked up, it defines, this is her talking to me. It defined as someone that earned a living from their profession. They're spelled wrong. Being accomplished is not really required, but people who earn a living doing what they do tend to do so because the population at large value their work. They're spelled wrong again. So do you understand how there's like a person that can't spell there that's like trying to educate me about like word definitions? It's so annoying because it's like, guys, if you just stay on the fucking topic, the earth is flat. Go ahead and present some evidence that the earth is not flat. And when it ends up being cartoons, like what this video that we're underneath, then I'm going to say, hey, that's cartoon. And then you're going to say, do you even know the definition of a cartoon? This guy says, be gone, troll. This silly meme has worn out its novelty. So, okay, great. Well, then just disprove it if that's what it is a meme. I'm not sure how my words ended up being a meme. So if he made a meme about my words, or I'm not sure. I'm just telling her, Syphil, you may want to buy a new dictionary, one that calls unaccomplished losers professionals. That way you idiots can all be professionals. And guys, if you have not been out in the world very much, like, you might get the impression that there's professionals around you. Like, and if we go with her definition of making money, then sure, everyone can be a professional. But what I'm saying is that you actually have to, like, not be a loser, you know, to be a professional. That's really what and a loser is like someone that's never accomplished anything, right? So all of these astronomers, who's the... I mean, I plainly said in that other post that I'm the best astronomer in the world. So go ahead. Who's a better astronomer than me? There's no one. So it's like, yeah. All right, so I'm just telling that guy, no, you be gone. You're the one that can't teach anyone anything and just complains. That makes you the troll. A troll that can't make one prediction with their model, like a stuttering buffoon. These guys really don't understand how dumb it makes them to believe in something that it's wholly useless. It's 100% wrong. It's useless. Guy, like, there can be rhetoric about stuff, but there cannot be any rhetoric about, like, useful. You can't deny if a clock works. How to tell time by the moon is a clock. So do you need an independent variable? Well, you've got one for all minutes of the day. It's independent. You can just, like, pick when to do your science, and it's going to work every single time. So Markle says, apparently speaking and leaving no doubt applies to trolls and fools alike. Guys, comment below if you understand what that means. This is the typical Glober. Like, they can't put together thoughts. Apparently speaking and leaving no doubt applies to trolls and fools alike. Speaking and leaving no doubt. Yeah, I can't even figure it out. This guy comes in, nerd. I don't know who he's talking to, but probably the poster. And he's right. Syphil's still about her dictionary thing. Like, why are we talking about dictionaries? Post some proof that you live on a spinning ball. Like, come on. Well, I did consult dictionaries just to be certain what I was saying was not a lie. Even when I think I am right, I often look up facts before I say my piece. At least when I have access to such information easily, like I do when I'm on the internet. Now, you're spelled wrong, proposing I should use a specific dictionary which you have access to. Well, why don't you source me to that dictionary? Or am I just to guess what source you have used? I mean, you could even have made up your own definition. Of course, that would be dishonest to do so. This lady is saying that it's dishonest to say that a professional has to actually have accomplished something. Otherwise, they're not a professional. Like, these people are so brain dead. It's astounding. We'll get into that later. At least if you're presenting it as the work of someone else. One, if after all, free to make up one's own definitions, but then it should be clearly stated as such. By the way, you seem to have a very rude tone to your response. Is there a reason for this? Sorry if I misunderstood you. It's a kindness, just to apologize, just to throw it in there. I'm not trying to be rude. It's fantastic. Like, I'm not attacking this person as a person. I'm attacking this person as, like, an entity that just accepts whatever they're told. Just like her story about looking things up in the dictionary. Like, does that make it the truth if you look it up in the dictionary? The truth is just the truth. That's all there is to it. Dictionaries can change. So, yeah, there's lots of dictionaries. They're all going to have it formulated in a different method. In each of them back in the day. Nowadays, they'll be pretty similar. But if you are trying to be rude, then we should actually talk about that issue. See, now she wants to talk about being rude. Like, yeah, it's rude to come in and say that you've been retarded. How are we going to get over it if you can't get over whether it makes you feel happy or sad, though? Because the facts are, humanity's been retarded. And the Earth being flat is hardly the first time this has happened. Talking about that issue, whether I'm rude or not, I don't see. I came in and posted that the Earth is flat, so doesn't that seem like that should be the issue? Like, it really should, but these guys, like, they really believe. You realize these are not shills. These are not like paid government or, they're not Catholics in disguise. No. These are just regular people that just believe whatever they're told. And since they can't, figure out that the Earth is actually just flat, they can't figure out that they have no proof that the Earth is a ball, and they can't figure out that, they can't figure out any of it. And so they just want to move the conversation away from something that's, more comfortable. Less comfortable into something that's more comfortable. So she's saying, I feel the discussion likely won't be productive until we get to the core of why you're acting rude. Yours spelled wrong. So this person that wants to school me on definitions has a hard time with these words, which I agree. There's several spellings for your, and, there's several spellings for there, and English is kind of stupid, right? But it is the method that we've been using our whole lives, so we got to at least, we got to at least be able to use it to communicate. We're just doing our best. I understand, but it's like, just think about it. Think about it. If this person was like so great at English and that's why they wanted to stick on definitions, would that make a little bit of sense? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But then they're not good at definitions. They're not good at writing. No offense to this person, but it's just, why would I believe you when I can spell there? I can spell all three ways of there. I can conjugate it. I don't have a problem with the same, remedial things that these people have a problem with. So, and it's like, now it's ugly shouting match. Well, that's definitely a perspective to take. What I do is I try and fire someone up. I try and get them mad. It's true. I do. I try and get them mad. Because then they have, testosterone forcing them to, actually put in some footwork. Because just like what I posted in that other thread, that I assure you haven't measured anything, it's super easy to figure out that the Earth is flat. It's really easy. It's not. Just measure anything. No problem. So my response to her is blah, blah, blah. State your evidence for Earth spin, molten core, R value of Earth, Coriolis effect, 24-hour southern sun, vacuum beside a non-vacuum. How about proof of anything besides the obvious fact that you simply believe what you're told? Sorry for being rude, but if you read this thread, you'll see that the people that believe this idiotic Catholic bullshit are assholes whose assholery is only outdone by their ineptitude. I'm dealing with groupthink inferiors, and I'm not afraid to point that out. I mean, I used to not ever, say super cocky shit like this. But the thing is, people are so dense that you have to spell it right out for them. And then you have to kind of insult them and get their emotions going for it. It's really not very Christian, but I actually do it for love. I don't hate this person. I don't want this person to be a homeless or anything else. I want this person to actually get better. So if I can say something rude to Markle 2K, then if that helps them, sure, why not? It's no problem to me. So why am I talking? This is to Markle. Why am I talking physics with you idiots? You literally can't even talk. Apparently, speaking and leaving no doubt, I finally responded to this guy, applies to trolls and fools alike. You call that a sentence? What does that mean? State your proof you live on a ball, or go put your nose in the corner. Sifel, I think we might need to go down to core values here. What framework do we use to view the world with? Considering mention a lot of concepts, and you have an adversarial tone, which I interpret as you being passionate about the topic. I would interpret that as being like, why is it that he stated something and now he's adversarial? Could be because we're not talking about what he stated. That could possibly be. Yeah, I'm only here to talk about whether or not the Earth is flat. So, therefore, I propose we go deeper so we are on the same page, considering if we do not agree on this basic foundation that we will just mean different things when we start discussing the topics. By being on the same page, we will likely be a lot more productive in our discussion. In philosophy, which is ridiculous, we have a branch called epistemology, the study of knowledge. How we know things to be true, you can say. We all have some sort of... Okay, so epistemology actually has some merit. We have some sort of epistemic framework which we use to decide if something is true or not. We might not always think about it, but even the person that just go after a gut feeling for what is true has a method. That gut feeling is the method. All right, sorry guys, I kind of stumbled through that. That's actually a pretty good paragraph, what she's explaining. If A, then C, therefore B equals C type of thing. So I ask, what is your framework to use to decide what is true or not? Note, there is no right or wrong answer here, but think about your answer. I would like to think about my answer being let me go back to it. Sithel, and notice that it's the same person, Sithel. Blah, blah, blah. State your evidence for Earth spin, molten core, R value of Earth, Coriolis effect, 24-hour southern sun, vacuum beside a non-vacuum. How about proof of anything besides the obvious fact that you simply believe what you're told? Okay, so that's what this conversation needs to be about. So when she comes in and she's like, "Whoa, core concepts and get deeper." No, dumbass. I'm here to explain to you that there's this whole list of shit that you cannot account for. You can't. It's all impossible. It's all idiotic. Well, 24-hour sun, that's... you should watch my video on that so that you'll understand everything on that. So, I always just try and get it back to the point. Like, I know you guys want to go off on, like, whether I'm being rude or whether you got emotions or whether whatever. But I'm just going to educate you here. The reason you can't support any of the claimed heliocentric religion's point is because the Earth is flat, and that's all you've ever experienced. While you have twisted in your head the horizon you see to be on a ball, you can't support it because it's a religion and false. It's the same reason we're commenting under a cartoon. To me, this cartoon thing, like, people really need to think about this. Look at what she says. You are sidestepping my question. Yeah, I don't care about your question. You're not here to teach me anything. I'm just here to teach you. So, about what is epistemological framework you're using. Yours spelled wrong. Like I said before, we need to get down to core values here. I mean, you're doing a lot of assumptions on what I believe there. Yeah, I know what you believe. It's the same thing as you were told. It's not very hard. What I think is true. That's an amazing statement. But we have not even agreed to what truth is. So we cannot even have a discussion on the matter, as we likely do not even share the same framework. Yeah, we definitely do. What she's been discussing about epistemology, it's not retarded, She's saying she's got actual information. However, none of that matters, because it doesn't matter what my proof is. It matters what your proof is. So, I came in, I said the Earth is flat, and now I see it every single day when I go outside. So the Earth is flat. So now you got to have some sort of proof that that's not the case. So we don't need to if A then C, and we don't need to do any of that stuff. You just need to provide some proof for all those things that I listed. All right. So let me show you this guy's email. I don't know. I don't think I blocked him, but he's emailing me from my website. So you remember me, Dr. Becky's channel less than a day ago? I want to start off by saying I do not care for round or flat Earth conversations. Yeah, you shouldn't, because the only place that it can take you is to a place where you actually have enemies, and you actually have to be able to defend yourself, and that is scary. It really is. But that's the same world that you were born into. You're just in denial about that fact. So it may be less comfortable to talk about this, but it's still the same world. You're not going into an actual worse world. It's the same world. Neither anything about the holographic principle or anything that can be considered theory. Oh, you know what? This guy, I don't know what happened to him. I didn't see any of his. I was wanting to read his comments too, actually. All right, so this is some other guy. He messaged me in that same thread, and it wasn't there anymore, so I'm assuming he blocked me or something. Holographic principle is definitely a theory. I don't know. I don't think that that's a legitimate claim. I don't know of anyone that's made some sort of claim that something's holographic. Elon Musk said something about we're in a simulation, but I don't know. Maybe that's related. The fact that the Earth is flat is definitely not a theory, though. It's what's outside. I'm here to talk about the way you treat other people. See, look what they want to talk about. And the way people react to you. If you start going all theorist, I will shut this email down, and you will never have the chance to talk to someone who is actually going to listen. The deal is, we talk about how different people treat us differently. I have had problems in my life where people are just complete asshats. I deal with them very similarly to how I dealt with you. Most of the time they rage quit when they can't get under my skin. However, you dramatically changed your tune near the end of our conversation yesterday. I wanted to show you that conversation, but I didn't have it. Didn't have it handy. So, just letting them know, the reason people are so fucked up is they believe nothing but lies. Therefore, I'm only really interested in talking about the blatantly obvious fact that the Earth is flat. You're not going to understand what's going on until you understand that you've been programmed wrong. Think of a Windows machine that's been installing and trying to purge adware for the last 20 years, not even going to function without a wipe. You, and everyone else, needs a wipe. We spent 30 years learning how to be more confused than we were as toddlers, and it's not an accident. You say I'm rude? I say you're getting worse every day, and someone has to step in and redirect you. It wasn't your fault that you fell for this idiocy, but now that the information age is here, it is your responsibility to overcome it. You've been in a cult that requires trusting other people, and those people just want to use you. I want to help you out of that. You say you want to call the police. And this is part of the post. He's like giving me my mom's name, like telling me called the one of my hometowns when I was a kid, told the police about me or something. Like, it's just craziness. So you say you want to call the police, who are lazy scumbags that need to find honest work for trying to educate you. This society is eating itself, and collapse is coming. You are going to be better off when that happens if you learn not to be, think, feel, or say what you're told, but to become your own man. Winter is coming, and it was inevitable the whole time. I am, at this point, curious what it is about being a slave you find so wonderful that you'll fight to keep those chains. Like, what do you think is working so well that it should be defended? Every city in America shuts down twice a day for 3-hour rush hours. Nobody does anything useful. Careers are completed without doing anything beneficial. Money is devaluing, which is proof of institutional theft. Constant illegal war. People think lying and aborting their kids is the same type of relative choice, even after they're born now. My peers think getting drunk and ending up with crabs is something to aspire to. You think it's something to defend. Kids hate their stupid parents, and vice versa, all for good reason. The more someone produces, the less they make. Alternatively, when people do nothing beneficial, they have billions of dollars. Republicans are liberals in sheep's clothing and love a big worthless government. Media has been proven to lie with near every story, and it's scripted for all the sheep to get the same programming. Okay, left now. All of your enumerated rights are at least subverted, and most often totally disregarded. There's more crime every year. I have at least one felony perpetrated on me every year nowadays. I still get to pay the cops to bully people and use us as their ATM, though. Everyone always needs more money since it's also worthless. Count the people you see making anything better throughout the day. It's none, isn't it? Churches don't teach the Bible. In fact, pastors that teach the Bible get fired. Seriously. Study the Bible. Go tell the people at your church. See how accepting they are of God's word. Honestly, how could you have any doubt the earth is flat? You're hardly surrounded by good people. This is why I only want to talk about the obvious fact that the earth is flat. You've accepted so many lies already that you need to understand once and for all that you are part of a satanic machine that breeds vitriol, and you are not prepared to solve all these other things until you're grounded again. Like when you were a pup and could still recognize that people can't be upside down in Australia. So that's what it's all about. I mean, like, I just want to impress upon you, like, if you're ever wondering, like, how is it that someone in 2019 could not know that the earth is flat? Well, it's because they are not even on that road. They're not even on the road. They'll never get there. They're not going that direction, and you can only end up at a place where you are going. It's like so basic, but it actually has to be said. People have to start saying these things. I mean, how many of these people even asked for proof that the earth was flat? You know, there's lots of proof. There's just tons and tons of proof. Did I ask them for proof of their nonsense? Yeah. Did I get any of that proof? And I gave them a great proof that they could use it that very day. Tonight, too, for that matter, and tomorrow, and, you know, every month you'd be able to tell time by the moon. Not really useful around new moon. However, yeah, it still works. So I mean, that's the deal. That's what we're putting up with, is people that have been trained to care about emotions whenever they don't have facts. And whenever they think that they have facts, then they can disregard emotions. It's like this crazy, like, they're just going to do whatever it is, wherever the candy is. You know, and everybody knows that there is no candy if you go around saying that the colleges are liars. There's no candy for you. I mean, to me, it's just so crazy. So crazy. But I've been dealing with this actually my whole life. My mom is so in denial of reality, and I was raised by her, not my dad, because, you know, that's how the government does it. So they basically put me in a spot to be ruled by someone that was just going to make decisions based on what they're told to do, just over and over and over and over again. And our family is pretty much dead because of it. My sister, no kids. My brother, no kids. I have one kid. I'll never have another kid. I assure you of that. I assure you of that. Holy shit. What a horrible experience. Whatever is yours is really the government's. That's how they look at it, you know, to hand out to whoever they want. And then, you know, those are the people that are willing to conspire with them. So my daughter right now, she's living with her grandpa. Why? Because he's willing to conspire with these people. That's honestly like the reality of the matter. So if anyone has ever been like, oh, well, this person got custody, well, that's because they're willing to conspire. That's why custody always goes to the female, because the female is too weak to stand up for themselves and actually, like, defend their rights and everything. So they're going to be dependent on the government for money, and they're just going to have to ask. And since they got to keep asking their master, they can't afford to bite the hand of the master. So, I mean, just understand, like, what we're dealing with. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. You know, it's kind of like with the First Amendment auditors. You listen to my last video, where they're talking about the camera, but no, what they mean is we have the right to tell you what to do. And it has nothing to do with cameras. It has nothing to do with the dogs in the park. It has nothing to do with whether or not the earth is flat. You know, it always has to do with something else. And there's something else will always bring candy with it. People will go ahead and accept you. The pastors that refuse to teach out of the Bible will respect you, and you'll be allowed to, you know, speak in sermons and teach classes and stuff like that, because you're a willing participant. You're a conspirator. You know, a pastor that gets up there and prays in a synagogue or a church. I mean, that's anti-Christian. That's a satanic act. flat out. And the only way that this is possible is that, A, they haven't read the Bible. They don't know that that's specifically spoken against in the Bible. Or they just don't care. They're only there for candy. And what we're finding is that they just don't care. This is the majority of people. Is when you are just in default, you're just born into default, then that's Satanism. Because what you're going to learn is that if you steal, then that's easier than working for it. And what you're going to learn is that if you lie, then that's easier than getting in trouble for it. So default is just Satanism. So everybody's in this default because nobody's learned any better. So flat earthers, we got that, and it doesn't matter, no matter what you say. If you're too nice, then they just, they'll just ignore you and talk about something else. If you're too mean, then it's going to be about you being too mean. So, my goal is always to just keep these idiots on topic because, they're brainwashed zombies. Like, you got to just keep them on topic. Like, I've got this other guy, and he's making comments right now. All right, so this is a video that I did. 3D modeling proves the Earth is flat, too. What I'm doing here is that I'm describing the phases of the moon with this software and showing that the only way that it's possible is that the sun and moon are in the same plane above our heads. It's the only way that it's possible. So I'm just showing like, hey, see how this never occurs where the light's actually coming from like Earth's side, from down? So I'm just showing like what that would take. All right, so this guy says, okay, at around 6 minutes, you say that the globe model in the middle of the night, the sun must be below the moon because it has set and went below the Earth. Moon plane, that's not quite what's happening. The sun, moon, Earth stay on the same plane. The moon does have a small 5-degree tilt. The Earth observers are on the side of a spinning Earth. Start with a full moon. Consider the sun stationary and ignore the moon's rotation in its orbit. At sunset, the observer rotates from the half-lit side of the Earth to the dark side. At midnight, he will be facing the moon. The moon's height in the sky, as seen by the observer, will be based partly on the moon's vertical distance, above or below the plane, but mostly it is the observer's latitude which determines the observer's up-down direction and his north-south direction. East-west direction are mostly determined by the time of day. To figure out what the observer on the globe Earth sees, you have to figure out his coordinate system based on his latitude and the time, and you have to figure out how to model a very distant sun, perhaps a wide light with parallel rays rather than a point source light. So I'm quoting him. The sun is very, very distant. Distant. Did he say that? I don't know. I just copied his word. His words from the Earth. Is a claim and not supported with evidence. You do know what a non-scientific claim is, right? Since you can only measure the angular size, there is no way to know that. Trust me, I know their ridiculous explanation that only works for a fundamentalist that does not question or measure. Your request is literally what this video is depicting. So, next. This is just such a poorly written. What he's saying is like relative and because of the north-south, and it works out. That's what he's saying. Yeah, so he doesn't understand that tonight the moon is going to be out all night long. All night long. And it is going to give us the location of the sun all night long. And it will be in the north in the middle of the night. So, all night long, it doesn't have anything to do with, like, if it's north or if it's west, and if it's latitude. No. All night long, you're going to have the moon in your sky, and then with that moon, you're going to be able to see where the light source is coming from. As I thoroughly proved, I just thoroughly proved it. I mean, so ridiculous. So his claim, so after he makes a bunch of declarations with no evidence, right? With if you get to just declare a bunch of stuff and not back it up, then yeah, sure, you can live on a ball then. But if we're actually requiring some sort of evidence or some sort of science to back that up, then it's not going to work out. So he says, and you have to figure out how to model a very, very distant sun. Well, there is no distance to the sun. I mean, there's a distance, but we don't have a distance. It's not calculable. So I'm just letting him know it's not supported with evidence, and it's a non-scientific claim. And I'm telling him why. You can only measure the angular size, and so there's no way to know that. So I think it's funny how globers come in and try and tell flat earthers like what they're talking about. Like, dude, you think I would be thinking that the earth is flat if I hadn't heard all these stupid explanations from these fuckers? Like, come on. He says, the very, very distant sun is part of the globe model. So that's you have to use it, or you are arguing against a bastard fake straw man model you just made up. But didn't I just ask him for evidence of the sun's distance, and he can't provide it, you know? So his model is straw. It doesn't even exist. It's just trust us. It's just nonsense, which they just made up. Yeah, that's why the distance to the sun has changed drastically over the years. Drastically. It's at 93 million miles right now. And it's gone, and I think Copernicus or something said that, it was 1 million miles. Okay, so it's 97 times as far now, 93 times as far. All right, so now listen to this. The distance to the sun is known and well supported with evidence. Your claim is not truthful. The ancient Greeks were capable of showing the sun was many times more distant than the moon. There are about a half dozen ways to measure the distance to the moon. Even flat earthers could do it. We can get distances with centimeter resolutions using laser ranging. This guy. Okay, so he's given us one experiment to do. He's claimed that he's claimed the Greeks. I love it when they go to the Greeks because they're literally admitting that desert wanderers, I mean, you know, they had cities, but desert wanderers, for intents and purposes, they had no Pentium 9s, did they? So I'm coming to you on an 8-core processor. So if you want to talk about the Greeks and the shadows, it's so ridiculous. So what he thinks is essentially, like, have you ever tried to stick your fingers up to your eye real close and measure something? And you notice that, like, even a house is just like half a centimeter? See, that's the problem with measuring the moon, or the sun, for that matter. So what we're talking about is the sun, though. All right, so we can get distances with centimeter resolution using laser ranging. This guy says that he is shooting a laser off the sun 93 million miles away and that it's coming back to him. Do you understand, like, what kind of psychosis these people are under? It's, like, so sickening. Seriously. This guy's so his one experiment that he gives is to shoot a laser at the sun. And it's going to come back to you. What is it, 16 minutes later? Is that what they say? And then you catch the laser, and yeah, that's what he says. The big problem is not the distance to the sun. The problem is, despite being a flawed model, you are not considering what the globe Earth observer sees based on his coordinate system that is unique for each latitude and time. Yeah, it really doesn't matter. What I'm showing is the sun and the moon above. I mean, I'm putting them on the same plane. So that's why it perfectly depicts the seasons. until you put it underneath. See right there is where I put it underneath. And then obviously that's not what you see. All right, so notice this is always the story. There's always half a dozen ways, and they all suck ass. We're dealing with flat-out retards here, like flat out. They believe half a dozen. What people do in their mind is they're like, well, if there's 6 listed here, and if only 15% prove it, then that's, definitely, surely, that got better redundancy than that. No, every single one of them is just nonsense. Just like this laser that he's shooting at the sun. So ridiculous. These are cult members. Like, you got to just see it for what they are. Like, they are in a cult. They'll say anything, they'll make any claim, and it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. They'll call you a liar because they're in a cult. The big problem is not the distance to the sun. Yeah, it actually is. Let's see. Skip ahead. I don't really expect you to do this because I don't know of any flat earther who understands this, even though it's not that hard. This guy thinks he's shooting a laser. Dude, I don't even know what to say. He thinks he's shooting a laser 93 million miles. Million. Dude, you can't shoot a laser 6 miles, you psychopath. What you talking about, 1 million? They can't put any of this stuff together. That's why it's always just get it back on them. Don't, just get it back on them. Go ahead, prove your distance to the sun. Go ahead, prove it. Just always get it back on them, because they will always come up with lies and they will always come up with nonsense. Just always. So just don't waste your time on them. Just real quick comments. Just get it back to them. All right. So you could try this and see if you agree. Assume the Earth is not tilted and the observer is on the equator. His up is in the Sun-Earth plane. His up is... See what I'm talking about? These people are so stupid. They don't know up from down. Up is just up, dumbass. Assume it is the full moon and solar midnight for the observer. Assume it is the full moon and midnight for the observer. The moon should be overhead and almost vertical. The angle from vertical should be overhead and almost vertical. The angle from vertical should be... Dude, see what I'm talking about? This is why a fucking intelligent person just goes ahead and use their 3D modeling softwares, because what the fuck is this guy talking about? This guy actually thinks he's making a good point. This is why we care about the flat Earth, because you don't know the difference from up and down. This is why it matters so much. You quite literally, like, does that person know the first thing about life? No, he doesn't even know up from down. Okay? That's a glober. That's a space case. Seriously. Okay, so I'll go ahead and read it, and if you guys claim to understand it, then go ahead and comment. The full moon should be overhead and almost vertical. The angle from vertical should be due solely to the moon's angle above or below the plane, plus or minus 5 degrees. The sun should be straight down from the observer's point of view. Everyone on the side of the Earth facing the moon will see the same full moon. How does this not work? Do you see how they start out talking backwards and then they end up talking backwards? It's because, like, every thought in between is just a backwards, it's just this backwards nightmare of, like, well, up means this if you're going to do that. And no, up is just up. There's up. See, this is the problem. So we're dealing with people that quite literally can't figure out the difference between up and down. So then they go and make a bunch of claims. All right, so let's take a look at his claim. He says it's 5 degrees. Okay. All right, that's what you say. Let's go take a look at your channel. All right, so where exactly is your proof of that? You did some sort of observation. This guy's name is Poopy Town, though. Yeah, you know, he's got cat videos, and he's here to tell me things. It's so ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. Yeah. It's so ridiculous. Just blah, 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 blah. This guy thinks he knows something because he looked it up on Wikipedia. Maybe 5 degrees. The angle from vertical should be due solely to the moon's angle above or below the plane. Dude, like, these fucking people are so dumb. They keep pushing me to, like, explain it more and more and more and more. It's the craziest goddamn thing. It's like, guys, if at noon you look up, straight up in the air, and you can see the sun, okay, then that means that straight down is the other side of the orbit. And it can be as many degrees left or right of that as it takes. It doesn't matter. The sun is in the north in actuality. So the sun should be down, but in fact, it's north. All right, so I really don't know how to explain it to these people any better than that. It's like, you think that the Earth is rotating. They just don't. These people have never looked at the moon. They've never looked at the sun. They don't care. You realize these people think that the sun does a straight path? That it, like, rises in the east, and then sets in the west? This is what they think. They think it's just doing a straight... The Earth, they think that the Earth is actually rotating. These people actually think this. Like, it is the craziest damn thing. And they do so for no reason. Look at this, quoting figures to me, plus or minus maybe 5 degrees. All right, guys. Well, that's the mind of a glober. That's just get to know, like, just come to understand, like, who these people are. So when you're thinking, like, oh, should I argue with this cop? No, because arguing does no good. People just lie, and they just make things up, and then they claim that you're the liar, and, like, you just can't even engage with them. You just got to tell them what's going on, and then you got to keep it to the point. They're always going to want to talk about something else. Feelings, or how you said it to them, or this or that, or this or that, because they always need a crutch, something to cry on. Like, these people are so weak. Like, you got to understand, this is like 99% of the population, and they're all just like these weak, just butterflies. It's the craziest damn thing. So comment down below. Don't make it stupid. That's all I got to say. Just do not make it stupid. Good luck.